Hi. Welcome back to daily number 707, where we learn that Maru is a better gamer. In part 1, we saw Maru slap Myungsik around with a large trout, with a somewhat normal-looking play that, given the way normal Protoss vs. Terran plays out, is actually amazing. And his relentless commitment to killing Colossi opened a window for him to kill Myungsik handily. Let's see him do it again. Maru. Now, one of my favorite things to say, in a cynical fashion as of late, is to talk about the one opening Terran's allowed to do. Reaper, into expansion, into etc. But we're not going to see Maru do that on this particular map. Maru's going to go for a very fast drop strategy, which is helped thanks largely in part to the architecture of this map. Maru's not just derping and doing whatever the hell he wants because he's feeling boss-like. We see at the natural expansion there's a huge potential for drop. This area can't be covered. The back is exposed. This is very atypical. Normally we see an expansion with something like this, where if you've secured the expansion, you automatically have this back end secured. Because as we can see, this airspace is between the main and the expansion. So this is more typical looking for a natural. We'd see that on Habitation Station, we see it on Frost, blah blah blah. Here, exposure! Oh! Similarly, the main base, it's not clear what the drop side is. Is it this one over here? Or is it this side over here? Normally, again on a map like Habitation Station, there's one spot where if you plant your stalkers, you cover 90% of possible drop routes. Here, do you put like a stalker here or a stalker here? It just makes dropping a little trickier, and I think a hallmark of the expert players in the modern day and age is their willingness and ability to identify these slight differences from map to map, and then to just punish the hell out of enemies who aren't adjusting. Like, this is not that huge. This is... Oh, that's a loud plane outside. At least it's not the rooster from earlier today. So this is... I mean, it's a slight change, but if your opponent is not trying to harass this area, it's more or less the exact same game that you'd play in any other situation. Another thing that's going to help Maru out, he says, oh, if drops are strong, what's my build choice? Something that's very nice to do is to, again, ask, what are the distances between the main base? Well, you have to go like this, and then down this way, and then up into here and into the main. This little bit of blockage cuts out a lot of possibilities. So Maru's going to go with a relatively defense-light opening. You know, you could, for instance, go for an early expand into super fast drops, as we saw Maru do in the last game. Wouldn't be as effective because it would take a little longer, but that might be a way in which you decide to go for that sort of drop play. Options abound. Maru ain't shy. He's going to go ahead and build that factory right in front of that probe to make sure that he gets it up as fast as possible. 1 Marine, 2 Marine, 3 Marine, 4... 5 Marines, 6 Marine, many Marines more. SCV's out, Marine pops up onto the map because if there's an expansion down, and now that we're hitting this, Terran don't give a damn. Maru instantly going for a 1-1-1. Now, for any of you who are unfamiliar with 1-1-1, you weren't around in 2011. The 1-1-1 is a class of build orders where you get 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport, and then you do stuff. The 1-1-1 that was most commonly talked about was a Terran player who would just get a barracks with a reactor, a factory with a tech lab, and a starport with a tech lab, and would just kill 100% of Protosses with Banshee Marine tank. And that was that. Those were the good old days, weren't they, Terran buddies? I remember when I didn't have to make decisions as Terran, I just built one of all the things, and then there you go. But Maru's building a kind of annoying to deal with composition. Normally when I see this, I get the impression that it's a very mine-focused strategy. It's all about getting a single, or getting, you know, a mine or two into his main base, but Maru really surprised me by quickly getting a Hellion in addition to this Widow Mine. This Marine movement, another gorgeous thing that I just endlessly love about Maru as he scouts around and checks for everything. Oh, Mr. Probe! Did you want to build a pylon? Well, welcome to Dead City. I set your table not with knives and forks, but with bullets. I'm gonna serve you a salad of more bullets. Go eat your bullets with your bullets, and ranch sauce if you're in America. I still don't know why I would put ranch on salads. I know it tastes good, but it completely defeats the purpose of a salad. Just give me the leaves, and I'll accept that I'm gonna have a really boring, upsetting meal where I fold foliage in my mouth until I just become frustrated enough to eventually swallow it. Don't just douse it in just rich, fatty cream that is not from anything. I mean, honestly, what is ranch sauce? Can you explain to me? It's like mayonnaise and blue cheese and you fry it a little bit. I don't even know, man. What even is ranch sauce? Because it's definitely not made out of a ranch, for damn sure. You know what all salads should come with? Nothing. Nothing. There is no such thing as a great salad. I've never been so excited about a salad. Oh, what are you having for lunch? A sirloin with potatoes? Well, I'm going with a salad because I like to be stuffed. Yeah, right. Hey, what is ranch? The important thing is Maru moving around the map with these units. And what we're going to see from Maru is some annoyingly different mixes of units hitting all at the same time. Widow Mines need detection in order to be killed off. Hellions are super mobile and can obviously pose big threats to workers, but so can mines. So what do you target? How do you target? Do you chase down the Hellions? Do you chase down the Widow Mines? Very cool little build. I've seen many players go for the 3 Hellion with Marines. I've seen many players go for 2 mines in this drop. But I've never seen a player go for 1 mine, 2 Hellions. We got 1 mine being rallied back into the main. We got the reactor coming up. These are fairly typical, and we'll see a command center. Boom! Popping right up on up on up. At 6:20, what's typically happening? This is right around when Warp Gate finishes. So that potentially is a threat that he could have been throwing out a whole bunch of gateway units to do an attack. But remember these Marines? Remember what they were doing? At like 5:30? They were doing the big sweep. Actually, hell, I'm even going to come back to 5 minutes. If 6 minutes is around the time when Warp Gate is done, these Marines are sweeping to find any possible probe that would invade. And there is an invading probe, so great. Any Warp Gate attack is no longer a threat. Marines continuing to spread out. Cool. Alternatively, our enemy could have gone for something like a 5-minute robo, which is done a little after 6 minutes. He could be going for something like a 5-ish minute Stargate that finishes right around 6. In other words, Maru doesn't really have that many threats. Most of the time, Protoss players are building 1 gateway, just a single gateway, and trying to defend all the threats with that. So here we see the Oracle about to pop out. And Maru does a couple things that I find super interesting. Maru hasn't even scouted up here, and he just instantly goes and builds a bunker. He wants to apply as much pressure. He's saying you have to be here. You either have to send all your gateway units here, or you have to photon overcharge here. Which is great news, because Maru is actually keen on hitting the back of the base. I think this eventually does go into photon overcharge mode. But we see this Widow Mine gets lifted. And what is the worst case scenario for Protoss here? Well, the worst case scenario for Protoss is that he's gone robo and has 3 stalkers, 2 observers, and a mothership core against this force. It's going to be relatively tricky to defend against everything, as we see Maru's already been able to deal a pretty solid amount of damage. It looks like, oh yeah, 6 workers killed off. Very often we'll see not a lot of gateways. It'll be a robo and a forge, or it'll be like this, a Stargate it's still spending. Yunsik's actually fortunate to have this much stuff there. And here we see Maru also doing the multi-pronged attack. I mean, it forces an overcharge. This play can do damage, but most importantly of all, it forces an overcharge. Now in the units lost, we see there's been a reasonable amount lost. Some workers have been killed off. In the unit count, we see it's 20 to 26, and there's 2 Nexuses that have plenty of extra boost to pump out some probes. So when I was watching this game live, I was like, alright, well, game's more or less even-ish. Because what's Maru supposed to do now? This is what Maru's supposed to do, guys. He's supposed to go, well, I'm now going to just pretend I early expanded. I'm going to get more barracks, and I'm going to build back at home. I'm just going to get, you know, an expansion and some barracks with 3 add-ons. I want to come back to here right when the drop play was happening. In reality, what Maru's saying is, hey, Protoss, you're cutting a lot of corners. You're getting 1 gate worth of stuff. You're relying on your overcharge. I'm going to do a play that exploits your lack of photon overcharges. Maru misclicks a little bit and accidentally delays his happy time command center. But look at this. This is something that we would call a defensive play, getting this mine. But wait, there's another medevac coming up. This reactor barracks is fairly typical. Of course we want to have a lot of Marines. We never don't want to have a lot of Marines. Dropping in the main base, roasting stuff, hurting stuff. There's that medevac. Happily in the main. I think Maru's probably pretty surprised not to see his command center done. But loading up all the mines, and then more mines getting produced. Rally back into the main, as we saw. And another medevac. Yet another medevac. Almost always we see tech lab, barracks, barracks. But you know what a player who doesn't have a lot of overcharge is going to struggle with? Multiple attacks with multiple different kinds of pressure on multiple fronts. Not enough for an overcharge. Get those units in there. We see the mines getting burrowed, and 1 burrows. Shazoom! Now Maru is losing here. He is losing this medevac, but still maintaining a significant lead. Oh, we didn't follow the life story of this one widow mine. How long has that widow mine been there? Oh yeah, this is the widow mine from the first attack. Remember him? He never got killed off. And off to the races. This is gorgeous. This is so good. Winning in the way that an aggro Terran should. This reminds me of good old days of QXC. Still applying all the pressures. Cool.
Your forces are under attack.
That mine is being really annoying. Finally an Oracle. Gets out. And just continue drop aggression. Just continue. There's probably going to be an overcharge soon. Yep. Right now it's been 17 workers killed off.
Upgrade complete.
And only after, what is it, like 4 medevacs worth of pressure? I mean, Maru isn't even super mind-focused on all these. He's actually going to load all these Marines up into a drop soon. Yeah, you can harass me, but you're immediately going to be weaker back home in your main. There's the overcharge, as we spoke about. And there's the medevac dropping there. What really can Protoss do about this? I mean, if he is as low on gateways as Myung-sik, there's not a terribly large amount. Look at this. Maru actually didn't ever do the normal play of building a tech lab, and then giving it to 2 barracks. The barracks built their own damn tech labs, man. Those finally got cleaned up. Maru just gobbled him up. Do-do-do-do-do. Ba-do-do-do-do-do. Reactor on the factory to get the double medevac. Do-do-do-do-do. And a command center. Do-do-do-do-do. Ba-do-do-do-do-do. And we see Myung-sik being like, "Oh God, I tried to starport to defend. Woe is me." Maru just waits. He just sits here hanging out. Tries to be a little cheeky with these drops, but no big deal. He's just gonna wait. And the tiniest Marine force of all time. The tiniest of all time. Waits for stim. Waits for +1. Charge! Charge forward! Not a lot of gateway units. Only barracks units to boot. Boodle-boodle-doop. There is no photon overcharge for you. Here is an immortal. He will be gone soon. Maru just won because there basically is no spoon. I really liked that game a lot because it shows a non-traditional approach to the matchup. The traditional approach being, alright, I'm going to do something to you. Okay, I promise I'm going to just be nice and defensive and deferential to you, Protoss, because you're the one with the options. Both in game 1 and in this game, Maru says, no, I'm going to bring the attack to you. If I rush quickly enough for a drop, follow-up drops are going to be strong. Continuous drops, I can even evaluate on the fly if they're going to be strong. And if you only have like 1 gateway, I'm just going to keep applying pressure. You don't have enough overcharges to defend all the fronts I'm going to be attacking on. Because you need detection, you need ranged units, and you need something that has enough damage to offset a single medevac. When we come back, we're going to watch a Terran versus Zerg game of Maru versus Dong Regu, and the topic's going to be very particular with that one. Let's look at unit and troop movement, and let's look at some broad, cool things going on in the build order. It's going to be the most standard-looking Terran versus Zerg. If you're just closing your eyes and hearing what the things being built are, you're not going to see any surprises. But what's so beautiful about Maru's play, again, is his positioning. So stay tuned! Stay tuned with your spoons! Hold on to your spoons, baby! We'll be back with part 3 in a little bit.